Papua New Guinea, a land of mystery and wonder where the dense jungles hide secrets that have been untouched for centuries, a place full of secrets. The misty jungles seem almost otherworldly with their thick canopy and the constant hum of life. It's home to tribes that live far away from everyone else. These tribes have preserved their way of life for generations, living in harmony with the land. I went there to live like them, to learn from them, to immerse myself in their culture and understand their connection to the jungle. It wasn't just a trip, it was an expedition into the unknown, a journey that would test my limits and broaden my horizons. It was a journey to understand what it means to be human, to see how others live, and to reflect on my own life and choices. When I got off the plane, the air was hot and wet, the jungle was loud, the sounds of the jungle were overwhelming, a symphony of life that was both intimidating and exhilarating. Bugs buzzed and birds sang strange, pretty songs. The air was thick with the scent of earth and vegetation, a smell that was both foreign and familiar. It was like a world time forgot. The trees were ancient, their roots twisting and turning like the veins of the earth. My guide, Awe, met me. He was a man of the jungle, and his eyes were wise. He had lived his entire life in the jungle, and his knowledge of the land was unparalleled. He was a man of the jungle, and his eyes were wise. His gaze was intense, as if he could see into the very soul of the jungle. We walked into the jungle, and it felt like it was closing in around us. The path was narrow and the foliage was thick, making it difficult to see more than a few feet ahead. Vines were like hands reaching out. They seemed to grasp at us as we passed, as if the jungle itself was alive and aware of our presence. The air smelled like dirt and flowers I'd never seen before. The colors were vibrant and the scents were intoxicating, a mix of earthiness and floral sweetness. We were going to the Karawari tribe, a tribe that has lived in these jungles for centuries, their way of life unchanged by the passage of time. They've lived with nature for a long, long time. Their knowledge of the jungle is vast, and their respect for the land is evident in everything they do. I was about to see their world, a world very different from mine, a world where community and tradition are paramount, and where the jungle provides everything they need, a world that would change me. This journey was not just about seeing a new place, but about understanding a different way of life, and in doing so, understanding myself better. After walking for hours, we came to a small village. The journey had been long and arduous, with the dense jungle canopy above us, and the uneven terrain beneath our feet. Each step brought us deeper into a world untouched by modern civilization, a place where time seemed to stand still. The air was thick with humidity, and the sounds of the jungle were a constant symphony of life. As we approached the village, the first thing that struck me was the simplicity and harmony of the place. It was as if the village had grown organically from the forest itself, each house blending seamlessly with the surrounding nature. Little houses with roofs made of grass. These homes, though modest, were ingeniously designed to withstand the tropical climate. The thatched roofs provided excellent insulation, keeping the interiors cool during the sweltering days and dry during the torrential rains. Each house was elevated on stilts, a practical solution to avoid flooding and to keep out unwanted critters. The craftsmanship was evident in every detail, from the tightly woven walls to the intricately carved wooden posts that supported the structures. This was the Karawari's home, a place where generations had lived, loved, and thrived. The village was more than just a collection of houses. It was a living, breathing entity, pulsating with the rhythms of daily life. Children played in the open spaces, their laughter echoing through the trees. Women were busy with their daily chores, weaving baskets and preparing meals, while men tended to the gardens and hunted in the surrounding forest. The sense of community was palpable, and it was clear that everyone had a role to play in maintaining the harmony of the village. As we got closer, the people came out. Their expressions were a mix of curiosity and caution, as they observed the strangers who had entered their world. It was a rare event for outsiders to visit, and the entire village seemed to be abuzz with excitement. The children were the first to approach, their eyes wide with wonder. They giggled and whispered among themselves, pointing at our clothes and equipment. The adults followed, their movements more measured, but their interest just as keen. Their faces were painted, and they wore feathers and shells. Each adornment had a meaning, a story that connected them to their ancestors and the natural world around them. The vibrant colors of the face paint were derived from natural pigments, and the intricate patterns were a testament to their artistic skills. The feathers and shells were not just decorations, they were symbols of status, achievements, and spiritual beliefs. It was a visual language that spoke volumes about their identity and heritage. They'd never seen anyone like me. My appearance, my clothes, and my gadgets were all foreign to them. Yet there was no fear in their eyes, only curiosity. They wanted to understand who I was and why I had come to their village. It was a humbling experience to be the subject of such intense scrutiny, to be seen as an enigma in a world that was so different from my own. Someone from a different world, a world of technology and modern conveniences, a world that seemed so distant and irrelevant in this place. Here, life was governed by the cycles of nature, by the rising and setting of the sun, by the changing seasons. It was a simpler, yet profoundly richer existence, one that was deeply connected to the land and its resources. But they weren't scared. They were curious. Their curiosity was a bridge that connected our two worlds, allowing us to communicate and share our stories. They asked questions, and I did my best to answer, using gestures and simple words. We laughed at our misunderstandings and celebrated our small victories in communication. It was a beautiful exchange, one that transcended language and cultural barriers. They welcomed me with songs, even though I didn't know the words. I felt them in my heart. The melodies were hauntingly beautiful, resonating with a deep sense of history and tradition. The songs told stories of their ancestors, of their struggles and triumphs, of their connection to the land and the spirits that inhabited it. As I listened, I felt a profound sense of belonging, as if I were being woven into the fabric of their community. Mocha, the village elder, had a wise old face. His eyes sparkled with a lifetime of experiences, and his presence commanded respect. He was the keeper of the village's history, the one who passed down the knowledge and traditions to the younger generations. His voice was soft but firm, and when he spoke, everyone listened. He welcomed me with a warmth that melted away any lingering apprehensions I had. He gave me a strange drink. It tasted bitter. The drink was a concoction made from local herbs and roots, a traditional brew that had been used in ceremonies for generations. It was a symbol of hospitality, a way of inviting me into their world and making me a part of their community. The bitterness of the drink was a reminder of the challenges and hardships they faced, but also of their resilience and strength. It was a welcome drink, a way of saying I was accepted. As I drank, I felt a sense of connection to the people around me, a bond that transcended our differences. It was a powerful gesture, one that spoke of trust and mutual respect. I was no longer just an outsider, I was a guest, a friend, someone who was welcomed with open arms. I drank it all to show I wanted to learn their ways, to immerse myself in their culture and understand their way of life. It was a small act, but it carried great significance. It was my way of showing that I respected their traditions and was willing to embrace their customs. The villagers nodded in approval, their smiles reflecting their appreciation of my gesture. As the sun went down, I felt peaceful. The sky was painted with hues of orange and pink, casting a warm glow over the village. The day's activities were winding down, and a sense of calm settled over the place. The sounds of the jungle became more subdued, and the air was filled with the scent of evening fires. It was a moment of tranquility, a time to reflect on the day's experiences and the connections I had made. I was far from home, but I felt like I belonged. The village, with its simple beauty and genuine warmth, had embraced me in a way I had never expected. I realized that home was not just a place, but a feeling, a sense of belonging that could be found in the most unexpected places. The Karawari had welcomed me into their world, and in doing so, had given me a new perspective on life. I felt connected to these people, even though we didn't speak the same language. Our bond was forged through shared experiences, mutual respect, and a genuine curiosity about each other's lives. It was a reminder that, despite our differences, we are all part of the same human family, connected by our shared humanity and the universal desire for connection and understanding. Life in the jungle started early. The first rays of the sun pierced through the dense canopy, casting a golden hue over the lush greenery. The air was filled with the sounds of the awakening jungle, the chirping of birds, the rustling of leaves, and the distant calls of animals. It was a symphony of nature that signaled the beginning of a new day. It was hot and humid when everyone started their work. The heat was almost palpable, wrapping around us like a thick blanket. Despite the challenging conditions, the tribe members moved with a sense of purpose and determination. Their resilience in the face of such a harsh environment was truly inspiring. Women collected wood and worked in the gardens. Men went hunting. The division of labor was clear, each person knowing their role and performing it with skill and efficiency. The women, with their baskets and tools, moved gracefully through the underbrush, gathering what was needed for the day. The men, armed with spears and bows, ventured deeper into the jungle, their eyes sharp and focused. I went with the hunters into the jungle. The experience was both exhilarating and humbling. The hunters moved with a quiet confidence, their steps barely making a sound on the forest floor. They communicated with subtle gestures and whispers, their bond with each other and the jungle evident in every movement. They moved so easily, like they were part of the forest. Their knowledge of the terrain was astounding. They knew which plants were safe to touch, which paths to take, and how to blend seamlessly into their surroundings. It was as if they were one with the jungle, a part of its intricate web of life. They showed me how to hunt wild pigs, find food, and not get lost. The techniques they used were passed down through generations, a testament to their deep connection with the land. They taught me how to track animals, identify edible plants, and navigate using natural landmarks. It was a crash course in survival, and I was in awe of their expertise. We came back with a small pig, enough to feed everyone. The sense of accomplishment was palpable. The hunters' faces lit up with pride as they carried their catch back to the village. It was a successful hunt, and the promise of a hearty meal brought smiles to everyone's faces. The women cooked it, and I watched the kids play. The aroma of the cooking meat filled the air, mingling with the laughter and chatter of the children. The village was alive with activity, a vibrant tapestry of sights, sounds, and smells. The children, with their boundless energy and infectious joy, reminded me of the simple pleasures of life. They were happy and having fun, reminding me of the simple things in life. Their games were uncomplicated, their laughter genuine. It was a stark contrast to the often hectic and stressful lives many of us lead. Here in this remote village, life was stripped down to its essentials, and there was a beauty in that simplicity. That night we sat around a fire. The flickering flames cast long shadows, creating an atmosphere of warmth and camaraderie. The fire was the heart of the gathering, a place where stories were shared and bonds were strengthened. Mocha told stories about his ancestors, stories about being brave, about hard times, and about their connection to the land. His voice was steady and strong, each word carrying the weight of history and tradition. The stories were more than just tales. They were lessons, a way to pass down knowledge and values to the next generation. I listened closely. Every story was a window into the past, a glimpse of a world that was both foreign and familiar. The themes of courage, resilience, and respect for nature resonated deeply with me. It was a reminder of the universal truths that connect us all, regardless of where we come from. I knew I was seeing something special, something few people ever see. This was a rare and precious experience, a chance to witness a way of life that has remained largely unchanged for centuries. It was a privilege to be welcomed into their world, to learn from them, and to share in their daily lives. As the night wore on and the fire burned low, I felt a deep sense of gratitude for the time I had spent with the tribe. It was a day I would never forget. Food in the jungle was more than just eating. It was a celebration, a gift. The Karawari respected nature and they only took what they needed. One day they made a feast. They dug a hole and put hot rocks in it. Then they added leaves, meat, vegetables, and roots. They covered it all up with more leaves and dirt, like an oven. Hours later, they opened the oven. The smell was amazing. The food was perfect. We ate with our hands, sharing stories and laughs. The meal showed how clever the Karawari were. They made a feast from simple things. I'll never forget it. The jungle was full of sounds, insects, birds, the wind and the leaves, but there were other sounds too, sounds the Karawari made. One night they had a ceremony. The men wore special hats and paint. They danced around a fire. Their movements were strong and graceful. The women sang together. It was a celebration of their ancestors, a way to connect with the forest spirits. I watched, feeling the power of their belief. It reminded me that there's more to life than what we can see. The jungle was the Karawari's home, but it was also their store, their medicine, their teacher. They knew everything about it. Away, my guide, knew so much. He knew the names of hundreds of plants and what they were for. He showed me which ones to eat, which ones were medicine, and which ones were dangerous. He taught me how to find water, build a shelter, and stay alive. The jungle was a tough place, but it was also beautiful and full of life. The Karawari lived with it, taking only what they needed and giving back. Life with the Karawari was simple but not easy. They didn't have electricity or running water. They lived off the land. At first it was hard for me. I missed my home, but then I started to like the simple life. I learned what was important: food, water, shelter, and friends. The Karawari had something we don't have much of anymore: community. They helped each other and shared everything. They were a real tribe, connected by something strong. It was time for me to go. I was sad to leave the people who were so kind to me, but I was thankful for what I learned. They gave me a necklace made of shells and feathers. It was a symbol of our friendship. As I left in a canoe, I looked back at the village. The sun was setting, and the little houses looked golden. I knew I was leaving a part of me behind. I went home a different person. My time in the jungle changed me. I went looking for adventure, but I found something bigger. I connected with something old and powerful. I learned what it means to be part of a community, and I learned to respect nature and the people who live with it. I still remember the jungle, the happy kids, the wise elders, the sounds of the forest. I'll always remember them. They remind me of what it means to be human.
Yoka Artiansa Remix.